Oh, drums. Good morning. Welcome. How are we doing? Some lovely, lovely people here already. Good to see you. Who's here? I'm going to guess. I've got an Andrew here because you've got a lesson later. Jake, are you here? You've got a lesson later too. No? Let's see. Let's do some single stroke rolls. 70 BPM today. Mixing it up. Why not? 8th note rate. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Darren, hello. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and nice and relaxed. Managed to zoom my screen a little bit. Maybe I can actually read the comments today. Nice full strokes, bringing those sticks right back. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Just for no apparent reason, decided to play a different ostinato with my feet today. If you're at kit, you can try this as well. Hi-hat playing the quarter note, bass drum on 1 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and checking that you're seated comfortably in a good position. Nice straight back, nice relaxed shoulders. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and checking the weather outside, making sure it's agreeable to you, unless you're in the garage, in which case you've got no windows, or in the studio. 2 and 3 and 4 and right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. All from the wrists. A little turn of the forearm, but all from the wrists. And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Mario, good morning. And 3 and welcome back. I hope you had a nice day off yesterday. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and right, left, 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 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm absolutely knackered today. I'm thinking I'm going to take the next couple of days off for Easter, so Friday and Monday I won't be here, just so you know. 2 and 3 and 4 and then back to business on Tuesday. So let's make today count. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and nice relaxed grip, nice loose grip on the sticks, just helping them on their way down, helping them on their way back up again. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and constantly checking your posture, making sure no tension is creeping in anywhere. Get a nice straight back, nice upright position. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Hopefully you're all feeling fine. Looking forward to an Easter weekend of isolation. Just gorging on chocolate eggs or whatever you've got planned. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right, left, left. Went to the supermarket this morning because they'll all be closed tomorrow here in Germany. So you've got to get your shopping in fast. The joys. People were already going crazy in the supermarket at 9 a.m. this morning. And 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and that would be the case anyway, even without the coronavirus. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and changed my drum kit sound today. Waxy jazz, nice. And 1 and let's move it now to a lovely little triplet. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, right, left, 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 right, left. Still checking posture, nice and relaxed, still breathing. Right, left, 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 triplet, of course, taking the lead in the left hand in the second half on the 2 and 4. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. These are lovely with an accent, but today, as our warm-up, we want to play them nice and evenly. He says, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Do as I say, not as I do. Da, 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 right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. I'm wearing a very bright, loud t-shirt today to celebrate the impending long weekend. Da, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, 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 da, 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 da. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. And now moving up to our 16th note rate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a weird gear shift, right? 2 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. It's so important to practice these gear shifts between 8th notes, triplets, 16ths, and even sextuplets, which we're not going to be doing today. But we will add in later weeks, I'm sure. Right, left, 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 right. Making sure as we've sped up, we've not changed anything about our technique, anything massive, unless it's a positive change. That we're still holding the sticks nice and loosely, not squeezing them, not choking them. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E, 4 E and a. Feeling good? Starting to loosen up a little bit. Hopefully, those of you guys have been doing this almost daily. This looseness is coming in almost straight away now. You almost feel good as soon as you sit down at the drums or at the practice pad. That's the idea. Right, left, 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 right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Lovely stuff. Let's move in a moment to our double stroke rolls. Back down to the 8th note, really checking our posture, checking we've got that little bit of air between our elbows and rib cage. Nice relaxed shoulders, straight back. And here we go, let's go to our 8th note doubles. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, we don't want to lose anything from our technique, change anything from our technique here. Nice full strokes from the wrists, pointing the drums to the sky in between each stroke, as much as possible. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, left. Looking to practice our full extension of the wrist here. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Get those muscles working, tendons moving, blood flowing. Left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Just checking your position on your seat, making sure you're comfortable, making sure you're relaxed. Nice straight back. Left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Just a little flick of the wrist. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left. I wonder how many people by the end of this quarantine period who don't have electric kits already are going to go out and buy one. Left, right, right, left, right, right, Don't know if Andrew's on here. Mario, certainly I've talked to you about this Jam Kazam website where supposedly you can rehearse with other musicians around the world or in other parts of the country, latency free. I tried it out yesterday with Cal, my good bass playing friend. He's in Berlin, I'm in Hamburg. Sad to say there was some latency. It's a bit weird. It works, you could jam, but the software claimed that the latency was in our computers and our hardware. So let's see. I do have quite an old sound card here, so that's definitely possible. But it works, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. I think the further apart you are in the world, the more latency you will experience from the internet exchanges as well. Left, but a super cool idea. Yeah, check it out. Right, left. You do need a sound card though, Mario. Right, audio interface. Right, left, and preferably a microphone so we can talk to each other as well. Tal didn't have a microphone yesterday, so he was doing 2 strikes on his guitar for yes or 1 for no, something like this. So let's move to a triplet. 3 and 4 and right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. I love doubles over triplets. Right. Be careful that no tension has crept in. Beautiful technique here. Right, left, right, left, New pillow, exciting. Right, left. Pillow is the best sound, much nicer than practice pad, I think. Right, left, It is important to remember to wash your pillow occasionally, though. Otherwise, you're just kicking dust into your face. Left. I made this mistake on a bus once, playing on a bus seat. Horrible. I think I've talked about that before. Don't start getting lazy with your technique, as I am while I'm talking. Still pointing to the sky between strokes. And let's go to some 16th notes. 3, 4. Right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Maybe you want to bring the sticks down a little bit at this point. You can't play them as a full stroke. Checking your posture, checking my posture. Right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Out of breath. 2 E and a 4 E and a 1 E. It's kind of counterintuitive. We naturally find ourselves wanting to slump down, to slouch, to lose our lovely straight back. Right, left. But actually, if we sit properly with a straight back, it's less tiring for our body. It's less tiring for our muscles. We can last for longer. We'll have more endurance of the kit. So still trying to make sure these come from the wrists. Maybe make them a little quieter. Let's have a little experiment down here with our tap stroke volume. Now that we're nice and warmed up, let's experiment a little bit. How much can you control those? Oh, lovely. Right. Good work. Right. Am I talking to me or you? Who knows? Right, left, right. Let's get a little medium stroke here, coming back to about 45 degrees. Right, left, right. The tap strokes down at about 30 degrees or less. Right, left. These middle strokes now, medium volume stroke. Right. And gradually, let's take it back to our full extension. Lovely stuff. Paradiddle, anyone? 1. 8th note. 3, 4. Right, checking what's going on down in the lower back. The lower back, where a lot of drummers hold some tension, hold some bad postural traits. We don't want that. That's where we can start to cause ourselves damage. It will go up into the shoulders, down into the hips. So just trying to loosen that off. See what you need to do down there. Left. I spent some time after doing my shouldering many years ago, studying the Alexander technique, all about posture. Right, and for musicians, for sports people, left. Actors, people who use their bodies a lot. Right. Very interesting. The number of things that we just do every day that are wrong, that are bad for us, that have just become habits. Right. Could be something small, like the way you pick up the kettle and pour the water with your elbow out, or something like this, when really you're much more secure here. Lots of things like this. Right, left. It's amazing. All those things over your lifetime, these tiny movements are going to add up. Left, left. To perhaps cause you some serious problems when you're in your old age. So if we can try and counteract that, work against that, relearn our movements, we should. It's completely stupid not to look at that stuff. Right, left. If a wheel is out of line on your car, you're going to get the wheel realigned, right? Right. Completely stupid if we don't take the same approach to our bodies. Right, left. You might have seen now for runners, they have these special cameras where they can really work out how you run, give you special shoes to try and counteract any negative movement you have in your running, as well as working with you to change your running gait. It's the same kind of idea, right? They take it that seriously in sports. We should take it this seriously as musicians as well, even just for hobby musicians. Right, left, because we still want to do it. It doesn't matter if we're professional or just doing it for fun. Right, left. So, let's have a little look at a triplet now with our paradiddle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Right. Oh, I've lost it. Right, left, left. Why can't I do that with that foot pattern? There we are. I've found one of my weaknesses here. 3, 4. Right, left, 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 right, left, right, left, right, left, right, easy with the 2 and 4 hi-hat, not so easy with the chord note for some reason. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, tricky triplet paradiddles. And I'm making it harder for you by getting them wrong myself. so cool in fills. Left, right, 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 left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Let's move to a 16th before we get any more confused. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, 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 right. I'm sweating here today. Beautiful sunshine outside. Last days have been 21 degrees, 18 degrees, something like that. Last week we had snow. Right, left, right, right. It's so weird. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. So Darren, today we're at 70 BPM. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Yesterday was 60. Day before was 80. 80 was too fast for you. How are you today with it at 70? You don't have to answer that right this second. Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Getting that lovely accent on the paradiddle that we want, really. Right, left, 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 right, left, right. So we're now combining our full strokes, or our full volume strokes, technically a downstroke, and our tap strokes. We talked more in detail about the types of strokes we're using in earlier videos, if you want to go back to that. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Without going in too much, we've got a down, which is a loud stroke, leaving yourself down for a nice quiet one next. We've then got an up stroke where we play a quiet stroke, leaving ourselves up for our next loud stroke. And we've got a couple of little taps with that double. I don't think I've given my left foot this much of a workout for a while. Glad I chose these quarter notes. I'm feeling that in my shins, calves, upper leg. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. I tend to take that as a sign of whether a drummer is any good or not. If I see a drummer playing on stage and they move to the ride cymbal, they're not clicking the left foot on with the hi-hat while they're playing the ride cymbal with the right hand. It's just lazy. Unless it's a choice for sound, 9 times out of 10 it's not. It's a coordinational laziness. Left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right. In fact, if I take this just up to the ride cymbal, we get a nice little groove. Excellent. Lovely, lovely stuff. Let's finish off with some secondary beat rolls at 8th note rate. I'm going to give us the 8th note here. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Lovely little quiet stroke followed by a nice loud accent with each hand. Right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. I will say this over and over again. It's the best way to get nice, fast, solid doubles. Right, left, left, right, right, left, left. It seems that a little spider has made a web coming from my drum kit, or is currently making a web coming from my drum kit to my computer. Very courageous little fella. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. You can start to snap that second stroke down with the fingers. Not sure if you can see that. But that's really what we're looking to build here, this drop grab technique where we grab that second stroke with our fingers, snap the stick down. Right, left, right, right, left, right, right. As you're doing that, making sure that it's the same part of the finger on both hands, the fingers that is touching the stick, making contact with the stick, that it's pulling into the same part of your palm. So it's coming into the same part of your hand as well. So you know the sticks are lined up the same in each hand. You've not got an uneven grip. While we're talking about that, of course, we should really be aiming right for the center of the drum as well, or practice part. Unless we want the sound of the edge of our drum, which in this case we don't. It's an exercise. Left, right, right, left, right, left. Those of you who've had lessons with me in the studio know I often draw a circle right in the middle, a bullseye, a target, which is where I want you to be aiming for. Right, right, left, left, right. Let's move this to the 16th note. Right, left, left, 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 right. If you can't get this quite out with the accent, just play doubles. Right, left, right, left, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. Right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left. I can do it. Left, right, left, 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 left, Let's just try and even those out now. So still thinking about snapping that finger for that second note, so that we're really getting a nice even second note, so that both notes of the double are really nice and even. I really love to use the voice to help me imagine what evenness feels like. Because if you're thinking right, left, left, 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 we've got two different values. But if you're thinking ta 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 you're thinking from the center, you're thinking much more evenly coming from the voice than if you're ascribing two different words, right and left, and therefore two different values. Lovely stuff. Just wanted to talk a little bit because I was talking about clicking the hi-hat on the right. So many of my students avoid this. We do the lesson. I show them what to do. I show them some exercise. I say, hey, any beat you can do here, you should be able to do here. And keep that hi-hat clicking. On the quarter note, as I was there, on the offbeat. Whatever you're doing with your right hand, right foot, left hand, should be able to do that with all of these patterns, even with an eighth note. And that gives you that lovely little offbeat chirp that you can do with the left hand as well. Super, super nice. So if you are one of my students watching this with a kit, or anyone with a kit at home, work on your hi-hat clicking. Just start off with boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. Putting in a quarter note in, try moving it to the offbeat. Boom, tit, ba, tit, boom, tit, ba, tit, boom, tit, ba, tit. Putting in two bass drums then, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, etc., etc., etc. Adding in the syncopated snares, syncopated bass drums, double bass drums, anything you can think of, and all of the things that you don't think of as well. Find some sheets, find some online lessons, whatever you need to get those going. Because it's just so nice to have that extra little voice going on. Interestingly, sometimes when you're in the studio, They don't want that. They don't want that sound because it kind of sticks out more when you're recording and you've got a ton of mics on the kit. That's going to jump out more than when you're in a live setting and there's a lot more kind of general ambient noise in a live setting. So it just adds a nice little bit of extra timekeeping for the band actually in a live setting. But in the studio, it can pop out too much. It could be exactly what you want, or it could actually add something you don't want. So food for thought there. So I wanted to talk a tiny bit about a drummer. I don't even know his name. I could have done my research properly today, but I went to the supermarket instead. So the band is a band called Maps and Atlases. Really, really cool American band. And when I first discovered them, they just had a little EP out. I think they're pretty well known now, pretty successful now. This was maybe 10 years ago or more. And this drummer's just insane. He does stuff on record that you think must be added percussion and extra stuff, whatever, that they've overdubbed. And then you see them live and he's doing all of it. He's just an absolute machine and just does these crazy things. For example, on one tune, he's playing xylophone one-handed while keeping the groove going with his other limbs. So really, really cool band. I'm going to stick a couple of tracks in the playlist for you guys to check out from Maps and Atlases, but I really, really recommend checking them out. Personally, I love their earlier stuff. It's a bit more experimental. Kind of strange, kind of slightly odd, but really nice songs still. And their newer stuff kind of got, I really like as well, but it's kind of got a bit more of almost like a poppy edge, or it's a bit more accessible, which is cool. But just because I'm a purist, I want you to go back and check out the early stuff first. So Maps and Atlases, super nice band. So I think the majority of you who are practicing along today aren't on drum kit. So ignoring that fact, I wanted us to play some time together because all we've done so far these last 2-3 weeks has been singles, doubles, paradiddles, rudiments. So I thought it'd be quite nice just to get back in some time, even though you've just got one voice in front of you. I used to do this for 3 years when I didn't have a kit as a kid. I'd just be playing on a pillow. In fact, let me do it on a pillow so that you're getting what I'm saying. So I think we all know how to play a basic groove, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're going to have the left hand playing on the 2 and 4. The right hand is going to play the 8th note. And I want you to tap your foot on the 1 and the 3. I'm going to give you that because I've got a bass drum here, but I am still going to, for a moment, play it on the pillow just for solidarity. And then I'll move it up here so you can hear the sounds you would be making if you were playing it on the kit. So nice and slow, 70 BPM. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now notice this. When I'm doing this, I could be playing a nice full stroke with the left hand and leaving the stick back to play my next note. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But I'm not doing that. I want to leave it down for a number of reasons. One is that when I'm on the hi-hat, I'm going to have some clashing issues, possibly, if I'm bringing it up. I could play this way with my right hand coming forward a little bit more, but that's uncomfortable. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. So that's one of the reasons I'm not playing that full stroke. I'm just leaving it down. Another reason is if I want to put in some little ghost strokes. Maybe I haven't decided yet. Those ghost strokes are just going to come. They just feel. Ain't nothing but rebound, as Bernard Purdy would say. You know, it's just the music playing itself. It's nothing to do with me, really. So that's another reason I'm leaving that stick down. You'll notice I'm putting a little accent on the hi-hat now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Again, this is just feel. We just got to spend some time practicing this basic groove. First groove almost any drummer learns. Even people who don't play drums, guitarists, etc., tend to learn this one groove from a drummer friend and sit there whenever they get a moment in the rehearsal room. Mario, am I right? And play this groove. You're a punk guy, so maybe you play a bit more of a punk groove, I'm not sure. But it's important that we're not playing the bass drum when we're playing the snare drum. If we do that, that's cool. Got a disco groove, that's another thing. But for now, we want to get the coordination, work on our coordination, that we're not playing the bass and snare drum together. And we could add all sorts of things in. We could put some little syncopations in, extra bass drums in. People forget how important it is to just sit and play time. Play each groove that you know for a period of time. Whether that is this groove, the next one on a sheet of grooves you've got, something more complicated, it doesn't matter. It's all about sitting there with it in the same way as we have with the single stroke rolls, with the double stroke rolls, all at different tempos, different subdivisions, eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, whatever. We've got to sit and work with these. And it's only when you sit for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, that you start to find stuff in this. You start to find that you can play the hi-hat with different accents. Here we go, straight eighth note accent. Sorry about the plasticky sound you get from this. I'm kind of apologizing to myself, really. It annoys the hell out of me. I want my real drums. Right, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Another great thing that you can do here is avoid temptation. There's so much temptation to start messing around, adding extra bass drums, adding extra snare drums. But why? If you haven't mastered this yet, and will you ever really master this, then why start adding stuff? You could spend your life just practicing this, and you'd still find new stuff in it. What about an offbeat accent? Ooh, that makes me want to move my right hand out, notice, so that now my left hand can play, if I wanted to, that nice full stroke. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and getting a loud snare while playing a quiet hi-hat. It's a very good bit of coordination. What about just bringing the whole of my hi-hats down? So we've got a really nice quiet hi-hat and a loud bass drum and snare drum going through it. Bring everything down. If you're playing in a band with real dynamic, with real emotion, musical emotion, there's going to be times when you're going to want to play like this. You need to practice that control. You can't just go, oh yeah, just play quieter. It doesn't work like that. We have to practice playing quietly. So quietly. Hardly even trigger the electric drums anymore. Bring it back up a little bit. Bring that lovely quarter note accent in. Really, if you learn nothing else, learn this beat with a nice quarter note accent going on. People will think you're good. If you can play this well, you can get gigs. You don't even need anything else. You just need to be able to play this at a range of speeds with a couple of different feels. Maybe sometimes the odd extra bass drum, or a delayed bass drum, or an early bass drum. There's so many great songs that you can practice this kind of thing to. From Michael Jackson, Sting, anything. So much pop music is just this groove, or variations around this kind of theme. It's an important thing to get down, and also getting this down faster. We're at 170 now. Let's see what happens if we speed this up a bit. So 80 BPM now. A little shift while you get comfortable with it. 80 BPM, still not so fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just playing time. How is that right foot doing? Is it still doing what you're supposed to be doing? Just playing 1, 3. Oh, I'm counting wrong, sorry. 1, 3, and 2, and 3, and 4, and boom, boom, Still experimenting with what your right hand is doing. Nice loud left hand, quiet right hand. Loud right hand, quiet left hand. Not so useful. But we've got to mess around. We've got to discover these things. You've got to avoid that. Don't let yourself do it. And the next step, if you wanted to continue this logically, would be starting to play some double bass drums, or 2 bass drums in a row. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and etc. Going through the grooves you know, but spending time with each one, spending more time than you've probably ever done before with each one. When I was a kid, my drum teacher made me play perfectly 8 bars of a groove before he was convinced that I could move on to the next one and learn the next one. 8 bars isn't that much. 8 bars doesn't prove nothing. 8 bars just proves that you've managed to concentrate for the intro of a song. Do you only want to play intros? No, we want to play whole songs. So you've got to be able to keep grooving these. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4. Let's take the tempo up again. And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 90 BPM. 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2. So I've gone up in 10 BPM increases. 10 BPM is a lot. And 2 and 3 and 4. And you feel 10 BPM. 2 BPM is about how much you can speed up before the average listener will notice. 2 BPM plus or minus, slowing down, speeding up. The average listener will be like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe it's sped up, but I'm not sure. After that, they'll notice it. 10 BPM, you really notice. But just to get us moving, get us grooving this in some different ways, just doing some quite abrupt speed changes, quite harsh speed changes. And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. We're still on the same groove. And 3 and 4. We're only at 90 yet. We haven't got even into 100. And so much of the stuff you will hear on record, on the radio, 120, 130 even, a lot of rock and pop stuff, going to be in that kind of ballpark. Maybe 110, 115. All really nice tempos. You start to discover, the more you delve into this, how certain tempos just feel nice in different ways. Because we're at 90, I kind of want to do a straight hi-hat, because this is like a hip-hop thing. When you get up to 120, that quarter note accent is really going to help you, because that's actually going to give you speed. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Yeah, bass drum on the first stroke. 1 and 2 and 3. Just to half time that. Bass, hi-hat, both hi-hat, bass, hi-hat. Both hands, hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So now, by going half time, we're at 45 BPM. This is just like a ballad moment. And the lovely thing when we've gone half time, we can go back up to our full tempo, and we can even then go double tempo from that. Back to the half tone. So even within a a tempo, we're not stuck in that feel. We can go half time, we can go double time, we can even move to a 3 within that. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 So we use this is known as metric modulation. We use this to move into different fields. This happens a lot more in old school stuff like prog rock, for example, jazz, classical music. Will modulate between fields a lot more than pop music, say. But you do hear it a lot, especially in kind of classic rock, that thing of going from the full time to the normal time to that kind of strokesy kind of thing going on there as well. And going down to the half time. Kind of quite a heavy metal or heavy rock kind of thing going on there. So really, really important. Almost everything I was doing there was just based around that basic beat. Boom. Bah. The counterpoints, this conversation between the bass drum and snare drum. And I want to keep that conversation going on. I'm going to take us back to the concrete streets, back to 70 BPM. And now let's do it with 16th. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a right, left, 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 right, left. If you, sorry, I should be out of solidarity on the pillow here. If you're on the pillow, on the practice pad, accent as though you were playing that snare. Here we go. Boom. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Always hearing in your head what the drums would be doing. Doesn't matter that you don't have drums. You have it in your soul. This is why listening is so important. Listening to records, listening to other drummers. So we start to hear the conversation, hear the sounds they're creating, internalize those sounds so they stick in our brain. So we know what sounds we want to create. Which is actually why I thought this would be quite nice to do with you guys. Me playing the groove, you're playing it on a pad or on a pillow or whatever. Maybe you're on your kit, but you can hear the sounds going on. You can hear what you would be playing were you on a kit. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right. Again, if you are on kit, you could push in a little accent with that bass drum to start to get that chord note feel. That's quite nice. Or onto the offbeat. Quite hard at 70 BPM. Normally a kind of disco feel that. And normally at 70, I would probably be playing 116ths, FYI. So really, we want to be getting these up to speed that we can play them 110, 120, 130, 160, drum and bass speed. Maybe I should show that at the end, just for some inspiration or showing off, who knows. If you were just playing this on a pad or on the snare, it sounds quite nice as well. These lovely ghost strokes. You can start to put some of these rudiments in that we've been looking at these last weeks. Little 6-stroke roll, 5-stroke roll, little 3-stroke rough. Super nice. So much fun you can have just with these basics. Everyone's always wanting to get the flashiest, coolest thing going on. The coolest thing normally is simplicity, but played well. I think I could end the lesson there. It's probably the best thing I'm going to say. Split the hands between two voices. Just giving you future ideas for when all this is over and you can get back in the rehearsal room. Really lovely with the left hand on the snare. All of this is the same thing. Bass drum 1 and 3, and the snare drum on 2 and 4. Right, left, left, left. But it's important that my left hand is quiet. If I don't play the left hand nice and quiet, we don't get the counterpoint of that backbeat popping out. Little 3-stroke roughs in there. Just trying to inspire you to go back and remember those rudiments we've been looking at these last weeks. Work on those rudiments we've been looking at these last weeks. I love that one for the right hand playing a little triplet. Daggers, right, right, left. Just a 3-stroke roll that I'm sticking there. And the other way, the double left hand, left, left, right. On the hi-hat. The right hand double or the left hand double. So much fun you can have just in this basic little world, this simple world. But it's about getting lost in these worlds. So just before I finish off, I want to give you a little something. So this groove a late bass drum. Tick, tick, boom, ba, boom. This is a classic break. Take it to 95. Lovely hip hop group. Putting some little skips in there. It's the classic James Brown groove that was sampled a ton. Also got echoes of the Amen break, which has been sampled absolutely loads. I think it's the most sampled beat of all time. Keeping the hi-hat quite straight, which was the James Brown feel. So at 95, we've got drum and bass. Keeping my kick and snare pattern the same, he says. Boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. 120. Bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. We've got like a Fatboy Slim groove. Boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom. With those little syncopated snares sneaking in. But the basis of this boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, is that kick and snare pattern. Boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. You're going to hear this now on so many tunes with a little variation. Dum, dum, bat, things like that. Boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. Let's take it up again. Boom, bat, boom. 160. Boom, bat, boom, bat. Drum and bass. Sampling the same beats. Boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. Notice how much smaller my motions have got. My hi-hat staying very low, the right hand staying very low to the hi-hat, so that I can keep that going. Using my fingers there, that drop grab technique, same as that I'm using with those doubles. I remember learning this because of the Prodigy. That's another band I could talk about. Because breathe. That was the Prodigy kind of idea with this open hi-hat and stuff. But all of this, working around this same idea. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom. And the reason that that is so satisfying is because of that late bass drum in the second half. Instead of boom, ba, gives you everything. Here it is, no messing around. We know exactly where we are at all times. That late bass drum gives us a little tension. Boom, ba, boom, ba. Oh, where am I? There we are. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom. That just gives a little space for the beats to expand, for the music to expand, for the dancer to move a little bit differently, as opposed to that house feeling or disco feeling that just really lays it down and makes you know where you are with every step. So messing around with beats, sitting on them for longer, playing those beats for longer than you've ever played them for before is the thing that will yield results. The thing that will yield results in all your drumming is practicing more than you probably have in the past. Kind of sounds stupid, kind of sounds obvious, but I know for all of my kind of hobby players, adult players especially, who aren't necessarily seeing this as something for a career, it's hard to find that time. But if you want to be good, you just got to sit on things. It can feel fruitless at first. I know a few guys have said to me, I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Good. Keep not getting anywhere until you get somewhere. If you give up at that point, you don't get anywhere. So there we are. A lovely little finish to the week from me. I've been Fred, as always. As I say, I won't be here tomorrow or Monday for the Easter weekend. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much for turning up today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Have a wonderful one. Goodbye.